Beautiful Tuesday morning with a difference here on Family and Values. We are watching Galaxy Television where we are reaching out for the stars. Yes, today is Tuesday with a difference here on Family and Values, and you know how the show is. The show runs Monday to Fridays, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., just like on your beautiful screen. This beautiful morning is Tuesday with a difference. You know how it is here on the show on Tuesdays. We come with different topics. If you are guys know where to watch us, we are live on Facebook, on YouTube. Download the Galaxy mobile app so that you can watch us on the go. And if you're a fan of the Star Times, you know where to find us on our Star Times channel. We love you. We celebrate you. Thank you for all the messages, for everyone that keeps sending messages. We celebrate you. We love you. That is why you are the VIP. Family and Value is a show that talks about relationship, marriage, divorce, controversial topics that you don't want to talk about. Here on the show, we dissect it. And it's a show that restores value back to the society. We try to make the younger generations understand why certain values cannot leave the family from, because family is the smallest unit of the society, but it makes a larger part of the society. Imagine that. All right, if you're wondering, my name, I am Princess Joy Eyo Abu. My name, my culture, my heritage. Okay, so I'm still here selling the boat alone because Mama Gen Z, of course, Lori AJ is still resting. And I miss her. I miss her here on the shows. Honestly, if you've done this, too, and then just anywhere you see Mama Gen Z, tell her that I miss her a whole lot and we can't wait to have her back here on the show with us. All right, for everyone celebrating, we wish you happy birthday. I don't have a birthday shout out for anyone now, but to everyone celebrating, we wish you the very best. New year, new celebration, whether you got a car, housewarming, whatever it is you're celebrating. And to those that are grieving and mourning, our heart goes with you. We love you and we appreciate you. All right, let's go now. Mini feature. And when we return, yes, our conversation today is one you don't want to miss. Tell a friend to tell another friend to tell a parent that it's Family and Values on Galaxy Television. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. In our mini feature this morning, we would be discussing what's your child feeling, what you felt. Like, you understand me? Your child feeling what you felt. Your child feeling what you felt. When I posted, somebody said, your child. What if I didn't feel anything? But today's conversation is your child feeling what you felt. That means when you were the age of your child, what were you feeling? How do you think that child is feeling currently? You can take it back to your teenage age. When you're a teenager, what were those things you did that now your child is doing and you're looking at it and feeling? Can you relate? Can you connect? We want to take you back to memory lane to connect with what your child is feeling and what you felt when you were growing. And this morning, our guest to be joining the conversation via Zoom. She has been here on the show live, but today she decided to join us. As I can understand, because of the schools are on this morning. Let us have Hallelujah Ezekiel. The first I told her, I said, this is the first time I hear somebody say hallelujah. Can we have Hallelujah Ezekiel on the screen? Okay. I love that beautiful smile. She is the VP of Springford Lead College. Good morning.
Hello, good
Looking
morning to you.
beautiful
How
this
are you
morning. I
doing?
love that smile. Thank you for joining us on the show, even as busy as you are. Okay, so I want to ask
Thank you
my
for
first
having
question. And, we are talking about your child feeling what you felt, taking it back to memory. But I
me.
want to ask, how does the African cultural mentality shape a mother's approach towards parenting, especially with faced with past trauma? How does the African cultural mentality, we have a mentality, they say, oh, the African mother, so it's an African thing. So how does that cultural mentality shape a mother's parenting structure, whereby it, training a child and you're reflecting towards your past trauma? How does it shape parenting?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Good morning to you and good morning everyone watching. Okay, this topic is an interesting one. Your child feeling wants what you felt. which means that your child going through the same emotional experience you once had. And unfortunately, in the African home, the parent from a place of birth, what has happened to us while we were with our parents, unfortunately and probably unconsciously, we tend to replicate such experience without even knowing it. And for instance, as a child, when you were with your parent, sometimes this our parents is like they parent us from the place of frustration, and everything is just about correction, correction, no celebration of our little wins, no, any mistake it's a problem. They just want you to be perfect. And unfortunately, when we also give birth to our children, we tend to transfer this expectation, this unrealistic expectation, as I always call it. It's unrealistic because you just want your child to be perfect. And then we forgot what it once felt like to be in their shoe. And we just want what is best for us and not what they actually need. So it's a common thing in the African home.
Okay, I love the way you brought it up and you said it's a common thing. Like sometimes parents feel like, not like you said, perfection, perfection, they do something rather than taking them through. Like they believe that children should not do, there should not be no mistakes. Like we never did mistakes, so you have no right to do mistakes. Now that is the cultural mentality that most African parents, that's why you hear, oh, it's the African thing, oh, it's African parents. There's that slogan, they say African parents, every little thing they'll say African parents. Now how does African parenting style, often rooted in discipline, impact the ability to express, for a child to express themselves during interactions? They express their emotions. Now let's take it back to discipline. We believe that Africans have a way of disciplining children, especially our parents back then when we were growing. Some of us, they used to call us the get in generation, always indoors. Now that discipline that Africans puts in so much pressure that is deeply rooted. They say, I want to bring out the best in this child, and the discipline you beyond. How has it impacted or affected the child's emotional way of interacting, even with the parents, in our current present African families now? Can you hear me? Okay, so I want to take that question again. Probably you're not hearing. I said, how has the African parenting style, often rooted in deep discipline? We are good at discipline. Often rooted in deep discipline, affected or impacted the ability of a child to express himself.
That's what I'm saying. When it comes to discipline, unfortunately, most parents are transferring the archaic method that our parents use for us to
come up, because we are still discussing your child feeling what you felt. Sometimes you believe that that child should not break a plate. You believe that that child should be perfect. We've had one of our guests here once said, allow the kids be. If they want to sweep and mess the plates, if they are washing plates and the whole floor is messed up, allow them be. Sometimes we behave like, I never did this, I wasn't like this, I am not like this. That's not true. These children are actually feeling even more than what we felt, because now they are faced with a modern society, they are faced with technology, and they are wondering, Why does this person, why does my mom or why does my father want perfection? Anyway, let's go on a quick break, and when we return, hopefully our guests will be available to join us back via Zoom. Person your child feeling what you felt as a teenager, as a child, your child growing up, and now you're in that age bracket. I was having a conversation with someone who happens to be a teenager, and I said, this thing you are feeling right now, every mother actually felt this way. And she was like, I said, yes. Every mother actually felt this way. Every mother got to that point, or every woman that has grown to that stage of motherhood actually got to that point where you said, oh, this is it. So we can actually relate with it, but then we are looking at it. Do you really understand what your child is feeling at this point? Do you really understand what your child is feeling at this point? I don't know, for some reason our guest is offline. I'm hoping she joins us back in the conversation, because it's very important we have her have that conversation with us, because when you hear from the experts and the fact that she's dealing with kids, she'll be able to understand. Sometimes you hear kids say, oh, mommy, do you ever think our mistakes are not bound to happen? I've heard kids say that. They say, mommy, don't you know that also I make mistakes? Hello, calm down on them. When you are discipline children, try to understand and put yourself in that shoes. Sometimes certain things happen to me and I remember that, oh, when I was a child, I did something similar like this, and I just smile over it, and I'm like, it's normal. When your child breaks that plate, remember you broke plates when you were growing up, and the same emotions you're using transferring to them, that was how you felt. How bad you felt is how they will be feeling right now. So you try to do, and that's why a lot of them don't want to interact with parents. They just want to lock up their emotions and just be there. I don't know if our guest is back line. Do we have Hallelujah Ezekiel back here with us? Is our guest back online? Okay, while we are still waiting for her, let's go on a quick break so that we'll open the phone lines for conversations while our guest will join us. We'll be right back. Oh, thank God our guest is back. Oh my goodness. I was almost saying, let's go and open phone lines. Thank you so much. All right, quick one. We're still talking about discipline in that area, in African homes, in African culture, that is deeply, parenting back then was deeply rooted in discipline. If you don't discipline that child and leave a mark, then you've not done any discipline. Now, how has that parenting style affected children of these days in their emotions to interact, to relate, to talk to parents about it?
In terms of discipline, we can't compare the method of discipline then to what we have now. It's two different generations. And if we want to go with what we are exposed to and we want to give it to them now, I think it's going to cause a lot of damage as it is seen in some home. Because then growing up, I could remember you can be disciplined for anything. In fact, you don't have to be the offender to be disciplined. For instance, being a first child is a problem. If your siblings, if they do something that is wrong and you are there, it's a problem. If your siblings do something that is wrong and you were not there, it's a problem. They beat you for what you do, what other, for any reason. And then, but that method, it's not workable in this time. You can't do that because you have a lot of problems in your hand. And unfortunately, some parents still carry that method. Oh, my mother did this to me, and I would, because I'm better off for it. And so you too, I will apply the same method. It doesn't work that way. It cannot work that way. The children that we have nowadays, I think it's not that we shouldn't discipline or we shouldn't use the rod, as the case may be, but there are other methods that we can operate, that we can use. Have we tried using conversation? Have we tried talking to them? Let them know that this family, we run an open door policy. You can talk to me, because then growing up, there is no time for any open door policy. You do anything, we have to fathom things ourselves, and you have to think, okay, what would please your mom, what would please your dad, and then you do it. But now we need to break the circle of negative circles, and let's do better. Let's do better. So discipline is more than what we had there. We have other methods that I'm sure we should explore. Thank you very much.
You know why I'm smiling? You said something that really got me. You said firstborn kids. You don't have to be the offender. They would discipline. Just like you said, your younger ones did something bad. You're there, they beat you.
That,
You're not there is a problem. Maybe you heard about it is a problem. So it was more like the firstborns were the ones carrying everything. Now I want to ask two questions. One, do you think that firstborn mentality is still currently brought into parenting in this year? Because sometimes you hear first, I've heard a lot of firstborn now they say, why am I the firstborn? Everything the siblings do, I'm always blamed for it. And again, do you think a lot of parents are parenting from a place of unhealed wounds and past trauma that they are transferring to their kids?
yes, I think so. Starting with the firstborn, yes, as a teacher, I see how some of my students still tell me that, oh, Mrs. Alilia, because I'm the first child, I'm expected to clean the house, to cook, to do all this. And there are others at home, they couldn't even help. But since I'm the first child, and for instance, somebody like me, I could say I lost my childhood because I have to do everything for my sibling. At the age of 7, I was taking them to school, washing clothes, cooking. There was no time for any social life for me, all because I'm the older one. Yes, and also, parents, we also sometimes parent from a place of hurt. What we have experienced in the past, and unfortunately, we 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 repeat such cycle with our children, and it's not fair on these children. It's not fair on these children. Rather than repeating the same negative cycle, why not let us heal through parenting our children? That is, reparent yourself by parenting your own child better.
By parenting your own child better. Now, how can parents reparent themselves? I'm just taking this from your question, from the answer you gave. You said reparenting yourself. A lot of us don't even want to learn. We don't want to even realize that we have made mistakes or we've raised these children in a certain stereotypic way of thinking. Now, how can parents out there who are willingly, genuinely have realized themselves, like maybe you've raised a teenager and that teenager is slipping off your hand. She's not your friend. You're trying to grab her and then you've said, oh my God, I think I got it wrong. Now, I'll give you there was a popular actress during a movie premiere. After she acted the movie, premiered the movie, she said, I had to call my daughter to apologize to her, to say I'm sorry for the way I raised you. And at the point she said there was a time she threw buckets at the child, and the child is all grown now and invested. And then one day she was calling the child said, I didn't pick your call because I'm remembering how you disciplined me, how you almost broke my head. At that point. So now she realized it now that no, I did something terribly wrong. And she put a call across that to her child and apologized and was begging the child. She said it herself openly now. Parents who really want to learn, how can they reparent themselves through their children? Are there steps they can take personally to say, okay, intentionally, I want to start doing this in the process of reparenting themselves through their children?
Yes, thank you very much. Thing you need to realize as a parent is that your child is not you. You are different from your child. Yes, is your child, but please, they are not you. So don't put this pressure to perform things you couldn't do when you were young, and then you have to transfer it to them. They must do it by all means. Please, that's the first step. Know that your child is an individual and your child is not you. And the second thing is that we need to use our past to connect and not to control. Use your past to connect to your child, to know that, oh, I've once felt this before. I've once been in this situation, not to control them. That's what most parents are doing now. We want to control everything they do. We want to control how they see things, who they relate with, whatever. No, don't use your past to control them. Rather, use your past to connect with them. And also, we need to be intentional. Honestly, when it comes to parenting, intentionality cannot be taken out. You just have to be intentional that I don't want to repeat the circle of hurts. I don't want to repeat negative circle. Coming from a home whereby verbal abuse is a usual thing. You are sleeping, the first thing that wake you up is the verbal. Are you not supposed to be up now by now? Your mates are this, that comparison, and you are just used to it. Why not be intentional when you are training your own children by saying that this I'm not going to do this. So you need to identify that those areas you don't want to repeat. Okay, is it that when you are growing up you went through a lot of verbal abuse from your parent? Is it that when you're growing up there was a lot of comparison, your parent comparing you to people? Is it that the pressure to perform, you just have to be the best? Identify this area, and when you're able to identify it, be intentional about not repeating such in the lives of your children. And don't forget, you need to be present. You have to be present and maintain an open door policy in your family. Don't let it look like you are the lord of all and you take control of everything, you determine everything. Let them know that you can talk to me, because that's one of the things we don't have then. Let them know that you can talk to me and their opinion also matters.
All right, thank you so much. Their opinion also matters. You know the tradition here on the show. Let's quickly go on our word of mouth, and when we return, please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Okay, so the word of marvel and quotes from Jane Nelson this morning said, children will listen to you after they feel listened to. And let me explain this. You want a child to listen to you. First, you have to listen to that child. What is that child saying? So they will listen to you after they feel listened to. So anytime they want to talk to them, when you want to talk to them, they will not be available. That's what that quote is saying from Jane Nelson this morning. And we are still discussing your child feeling what you felt. We are still live on our Facebook. Download the Galaxy mobile app so that you can watch us on the go. And our guest, Hallelujah Ezekiel, is right here to continue the part 2 of this conversation this morning with us. Okay, so from the quote we had this morning, it said, that's from Jane Nelson. He said, children would listen to you after they feel listened to. And that got my attention because I know you're a teacher and you've dealt with a lot of students around you, coming to pour complaints and everything. Now, how does a parent's unhealed wounds, unhealed childhood trauma, unhealed pains in them, affect their level of interaction in their family circle? How do they manifest these unhealed wounds, unhealed pains, unhealed trauma in the interaction of families circles?
Yeah. Thank you very much. Okay, let me just use myself as an example. I lost my dad when I was 5 or 6, and this affected my mother so much. She became withdrawn. She doesn't relate with us any longer, and that was why I was saying I lost my childhood, because I had to grow up I have to just grow up. At the age of 7, I was already doing a lot of my even taking my mother, because she just lost that touch with everybody, and it affected the way she trained us. There was no time to talk to us, there was no time to help with our work. Even when we have assignments, I have to help my siblings, and the one I can't do, we just return it to school. And when you return it to school like that, your teacher, they don't understand. They will cane us for not finishing our assignment, but we cannot just tell them that there was nobody to help us work. Several things. When there are meetings in school, like our parents will not be there. And then the teachers, you know what they do? They cane us because our parents are not available for a particular meeting, not even minding trying to ask, okay, what is happening? So yes, all those things we faced because of what happened to my mom. She was, because of our experience losing our husband, it affected how she raised our children. It was until later on she realized what she has done, and she had to apologize, which we also understood. So taking it generally, several parents are also doing the same thing. They've heard that they've gone through from their parents or even their guidance. It's possible it's not even their parents, it could be they were staying with people, and that hurt, that anger, they transfer it to their children. Not because they are bad, mind you, but it's just they are just used to it, that they feel that's just the way of life. You know, a child that when you are sleeping, your parents will shout, "Oh, wake up, everybody!" When you give birth to your own child too, I mean, you might not be able to do anything differently. You just apply the same method because you think it's the right thing to do. So that's what I'm saying, that you have to be intentional. As a parent, you need to sit down and look back. What are those things that you wished you had? What are those times you feel you could need a hug? What are those times you think you could need a little praise here and there? You didn't get it. So when we reflect, it will be easy for us to help our own children, guide them, and not repeat the same negative circle with them. So yes, a lot of parents are parenting from a place of hurt, but guess what? Life happened, and we just have to say that no, I'm not going to repeat the circle with my own children. I will do better. I'll do better.
A lot of people have listened, and this topic we are saying also relates to me. Sometimes you look back at your childhood and you see yourself unconsciously repeating that thing that your parents did to you. I'll give you a very typical example. Sometimes when a child does something, maybe he's in the kitchen and he's messing up the kitchen, rather than come in and say, "Oh, why do you have water everywhere?" And then you go in, "What were you doing? Are you not seeing?" And then you pause like, "Hello." Maybe the child said, "But I will clean it." Now you've forgotten that child will actually clean that place, because that was how it was for us growing up. Your mother enters, she doesn't want to know whether your hands were filled. Sometimes it comes with a slap. "What were you doing? Is it that you're blind?" Or all those things, and then you see that person. But now this is where I'm coming from. What does the role of guilt play? When a parent realizes that, maybe I have been repeating a harmful parenting pattern on these children. What role does guilt play? And how does that guilt reflect back into sober moments? And how many parents would even realize that sober moment, swallow their pride, come to their children and say, "I'm sorry, I'm wrong"? What role does guilt play?
Yes. Okay, so that's like you said, for somebody that realize, you can't be guilty, you can't feel guilty for something if you don't realize that what you have done is actually not right. So the first step is, as a parent, we think about it, realize it, that oh, this thing I have done is actually wrong. And then when you feel the guilt, it's not to don't just stop there, that oh, I feel so sorry, I shouldn't have done it. Don't just stop there. You need to communicate to your child, so that your child will know that no, this is not the best of my parent. For instance, when my mom realized what she was doing, she communicated to us that she was sorry. It's because of our loss and our pain, and we understood with her. And then from there on, we became a very beautiful family. So don't just leave it as the place of guilt. It's okay, you have realized it, but what are you doing? What is the next step you are doing? The next step is you call your children, you let them know that, oh, I'm so sorry. Apologize. Gone are the days where you say, oh, I'm the parent, I cannot say sorry to my children. It doesn't work that way. No, it doesn't work that way. In fact, you'll be teaching them the right value when you, as a parent, realize that you have done something wrong, and then you call them to apologize to them. That's why you don't need to force any child to apologize, because they see it every day. But if you as a parent you are feeling, oh, I'm a parent, I can't apologize. One day the child will also come home and will not apologize when he or she is supposed to do. So let's communicate with them when we realize that we have wronged them and change.
I love how you said let's communicate when we realize we have wronged them and change. But now let me ask this question. Sometimes we talk about change, change, change. For parents or for a mother or for a single mom out there who is raising children from a place of deep hurts. Maybe she got jilted, the man left, the man ran away, or probably she was raped and she didn't plan to have that pregnancy, and she has that pregnancy, and then here she is faced with raising children that reminds her. I've actually had a single mom say, anytime I see a particular child of hers, she said, I feel deep hurt and pain because that child reminds me of her ex. He said that child is a carbon copy, and so she transfers a lot of pain and anger towards that child. Now, for parents, for single parents who are on this page, a lot of them are on this page, who are parenting children from a place of pain, from a place of wound. They don't even want to know whether the child is feeling emotional or something. They just want to push that. If they had the way, they'll just send it back. What are those simple steps that those parents can take to actually help them so that they don't damage the future of those children?
But I think the first step is to forgive yourself. Forgive yourself. You might have blamed yourself. Oh, I shouldn't have been where I'm not supposed to be. I should have known better. I should have seen all those assumptions. Let's accept you didn't see them. Forgive yourself. Tell yourself, I forgive myself for making this mistake. Forgive yourself, because that's the first level. If you are still hurting against yourself, you are still holding it against yourself, then you will not be able to forgive others. So the first step is for you to forgive yourself. After which, you forgive those that have wronged you. Forgive the man. Forgive the family. Forgive anybody connected to you that they really did something. So now the problem is not that they did not do something to hurt you. Yes, they did, but for your own healing, you need to forgive them, and also for the future of that your child. See that child as a gift, not a burden. Don't see that child as, oh, this is my body, this is the result of my sin. No, see that child as a gift, that this is what God used to compensate me, and open your heart to love that child or to love those children, and to determine that yes, they are going to be better than I was. They will be better than I am. I mean, do everything possible for them. Don't repeat the circle. Don't Let's break every negative circle and create a new path for them to work on.
Break the cycle. Don't create a negative cycle back. Now, as we round up the show, I want to quickly ask you this question. You are a teacher, and you've risen to that position where you have both students and parents working to your office. So you have a day-to-day interaction with both sides, now the children and the parents, maybe complaints from the kids. Have you had any situation where you have to call a particular family to say, the way you are parenting this child would lose it? Have you had instances where children come to you and they cry, like the students cry and say, this is what I'm going through, hallelujah, can you help me talk to my dad, or can you help me talk to my mother? And then you bring both families together and say, what you are doing is harmful to this child. Have there been instances like that, in the course of your dealing with both the students and the parents?
Oh, yes. Several instances, in fact, several, because my student, I see them as my children, and in fact, I don't call them students, I call them children. So several times, especially the teens, the teenagers, they come to me and tell me this is what is happening at home. So it depends on the situation. First, it could be a situation where you can talk to the parents and let them know that this is what your child is feeling. Of course, there are several times I had to do that to let the parents know that this is what your child is feeling. Your child felt you are not doing right by her, and I think this is what you should do. And you see the parents coming out to talk to the child and then mending their relationship. But there are sometimes that some things you can't just open up to parents like that. So you just have to look for a way to bring it to them that, oh, what about this? Without necessarily letting them to know that, oh, this is what your child is saying. So as a teacher, I just realized that wisdom is important. Is important in handling cases like this. So yes, several cases, ma'am.
To our viewers and to everyone watching, especially to parents, making them understand your child feeling what you felt before we let you go.
Okay, I would love to say that you should remember that your child is not you, and they do not just inherit your gene. They often walk through the emotional path that you have once walked on. So the best thing to do for them is to guide them with the wisdom of your past, and also you should show understanding with them.
All right, thank you so much. Hallelujah, Ezekiel. I love your name. She is the VP for Springford Lead College. Thank you so much for sparing out this time with us. We love you, we celebrate you, and please take care of yourself and the kids. Regards to the kids, thank you so much for joining us on the show this morning. We look forward to having more of you live here in the studio. Thank you. All right, today's conversation, we have been discussing your child feeling what you felt. Your child feeling what you felt. And our guest has really taken us a whole lot. She has told us intentionality is key, communication. And she said something which was key. She said, break that negative, harmful cycle, that pattern. The way you were brought up, you want to now transfer, please break it. In all you do, break that pattern. That is what we are trying to tell you this morning. Understand that these kids actually felt, what you felt. They are feeling it. When you hurt a child, remember at that stage, especially the teenagers, sometimes we forget we were once teenagers and we want them to do everything perfect. How perfect were you as a parent? How perfect were you? So always try to know. Like she said something, she said they are humans. They have their own life. They have their own cycle. They have their own way of thinking. They have their own way of doing. Stop imposing. Stop assuming. I guess stop assuming. Oh, you just want your child to, you just want to assume. Think everything for your child. Please, let's stop it so that we don't raise kids that will have emotional trauma and transfer it to the next generation. We are trying to break that negative cycle. That's it today for a Tuesday with a difference. And tomorrow it's Wednesday and we will be discussing parenting from unhealed wounds. Parenting from unhealed wounds. A lot, just like today's conversation, your child feeling what you felt. A lot of parents are parenting from the wounds they have. So tomorrow we'll be having a guest that will take us through, and trust me, you don't want to miss, because the guest tomorrow, he says it raw the way it is. That will be our conversation tomorrow. Please keep a date with us, stay tuned with us, and remember, we are always bringing restoration to families. This is Family and Values on Galaxy Television, where we are reaching out for the stars. I am Princess Joy Eyo Abu. I'll see you tomorrow. Stay tuned. The next program is up here on Galaxy Television. Stay blessed and stay safe out there. Bye for now.